later. Points you've just made. Number one, you're saying that countries like India, whose growth rate is far exceeding a lot of European countries, need to just calm down and understand how things are moving. The other thing you say is that organizations like probably G7 are losing their relevance, and what do I do there if they don't want to talk to me? But the third thing also you mentioned is BRICS. Now my question to you, sir, is there a new world order falling in place? But because you're not going to G7, but you just visited China and you're about to visit India. Russia, India, China, RIC, BRICS, SCO, Global South. What do you see as the new power center in the multipolar world?
Вы спросили, меняется ли мир?
You've asked whether the world is changing, whether a new world order is, in the stage of configuration. Well, the thing is, the world is constantly changing. Everything passes, everything changes, but right now the rate of these changes has skyrocketed, and we can feel that, we can see that. I mentioned that before. The thing is, we are witnessing global economic shifts and changes. They are not related to the developments in Ukraine or elsewhere where conflicts are happening. I think we can spend another hour speaking about that. It would give me great pleasure, but unfortunately, your audience, they're going to be bored with our deliberations on the subject. But the fact remains the fact. New centers of development, rapid development, strong development are happening. They are forming in the Global South in particular. I refer to South Asia. And not just India, but also Indonesia is on the ascendancy. I think it's almost 300 million people, not 1.5 billion as in India, but still this is a rapidly developing country. The same goes for Africa, which is developing rapidly, and this development is going to pick up because there are young people living there, and theirs is the future, and they will seek a higher standard of living. So this is inevitable. The rate of changes in the global economy is only going to grow further. Incidentally, we often hear that recently Russia is readjusting, recalibrating its ties with the Global South or with Asia. Well,
this picture that we wanted to show the President, because President, sir, this picture actually ruffled a lot of feathers across the world.
The Russia and the China.
Putin, Xi Jinping, and Narendra Modi. 3 nation heads together. And people were going all over social media and America.
But even if we look at that picture, President Sir, how do you have these alternative blocs, and how can they become a real force if there are fundamental unresolved issues between key member states in that bloc?
The thing is, conflicts are always there, they're always present. There was not a point in time where there had been no conflict. Let's have a look at the background of major regions, major centers of the world. Whether you look at any point in history, you will see that there are always questions, always conflicts. The most important thing is how do you go about finding a solution to the conflict? How do you go about finding the most efficient method of addressing these challenges? Let's take BRICS and other large associations like the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. And the thing is, within these organizations, we have a common understanding of what brings us together, and that is our values, traditional values, on the basis of which our civilizations have existed for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And based upon these values handed over to us from previous generations. We're trying to advance and move forward, bringing our efforts together rather than trying to repress these opportunities. And when you pull efforts together, then the end result is based on synergy, and it turns out to be unprecedentedly good, unprecedentedly impressive. And this is what we are prioritizing within these associations and organizations. There was not a single time when we got together to find a way of trying to dupe someone or preventing someone's development. Our agenda is always of a positive nature. And I think this is important.
Okay, so that's an important answer, but are there alternatives? Because the biggest thing when you have these blocks is how do you make it economically viable? Are we looking at alternative payment systems? Is there going to be a BRICS currency? Or are we looking at alternative payments in terms of national currencies? Rupee ruble.
Moving towards de-dollarization, basically.
Вы знаете, никуда не надо спешить.
Well, there is no need for haste.
И тогда не будешь совершать
And
каких-то грубых ошибок.
if there is no hurry, then you will avoid many grave mistakes. Let's have a look at Europe. They created the Euro system and they involved in that Eurozone several countries that were economically unprepared for a single currency. Hence, problems with regulating a number of issues related to the social system. You cannot simply work with the national currency because there is one single currency, hence problems with the budget. We do not have this goal of building a single currency in BRICS at this stage and point. This has to be done very carefully, prudently.
Надо шире использовать возможности нового банка развития BRICS. Так, вот мы, например, предлагаем создать новую инвестиционную платформу с использованием электронных расчетов для того, чтобы, с минимальным капиталом, там, $100 миллиардов для начала, значит, но для того, чтобы создать условия для совместных инвестиций и в нашей экономике, и в экономике развивающегося глобального юга. И полагаю, что это может быть очень интересно, потому что это вложения, которые могут помогать и развитию стран, реципиентов этих инвестиций, и нам могли бы помогать, потому что мы бы вместе с этими странами производили бы хорошего уровня, качества продукцию по приемлемым ценам, что способствовало и развитию стран юга, и нашему развитию. И инструментов таких расчетов может быть все больше и больше. Современные средства электронные деньги, современные средства платежа электронные, они существуют и очень быстрыми темпами развиваются. И эта работа не против кого-то. Совсем нет. Это просто совершенствование тех инструментов, которые и так в мире существуют. Вот и все. Они же есть.
What is the roadblock in the rupee ruble payment here then?
Здесь нет препятствий. Это вопросы экономического характера. Мы прекрасно понимаем и отдаем себе отчет в том, что у нас есть определенный дисбаланс в торговле. Но, скажем, правительство Индии не вводит ограничения. Почему?
There are no obstacles here. These are purely economic issues. We fully understand and realize that we do have a certain trade imbalance. However, India's government does not impose restrictions on our mutual trade. Why? Because they need both oil and petroleum products. The Indian government needs to expand its purchases of Russian fertilizers because these are crucial for Indian farmers. And Prime Minister Modi constantly raises this issue. Please increase the volume of deliveries. The issue is entirely different. It's not about rupees, it's about what those rupees can buy, respectively, for our companies. We're also thinking about this, not only the Indian government, but we also do. And we agree that this disparity must be addressed, but not through bans, rather by finding areas beneficial for both sides. Therefore, during my visit and at our initiative, there will be an exhibition showcasing our importers from India. I want to share with you something completely candidly. This was my direct instruction to the government of Russia, which is to consider what else we could purchase from India. We're considering this matter together, including from the perspective of the Russian Federation.
Дополнительно могли бы закупать в Индии. Мы думаем над этим, причем с обеих сторон, в том числе и со стороны Российской Федерации.
That's an incredible move if it goes forward.